Right, so hi YouTube. This review I'm doing on a quite rare watch that I had the good fortune of picking up a few days ago. This is the Seiko SBDD003, dubbed Marinemaster 200 because it was marketed as a Marinemaster watch by Seiko. It's a direct drive scuba diver up to 200 meters depth rating, and it came out quite some time ago, about 2008 2009. It wasn't a limited run, but it didn't really have a lot of success initially. That was mostly because of its pretty hefty price tag. It sold for a list price of 210,000 yen, and that was a staggering $2,000 US back then. That was a Japanese price. You'd have to add customs and taxes to that, so it actually even sold for a fair amount more. Now, at that price tag, obviously there was quite a lot of competition, and swallowing a Seiko diver at that price tag without an automatic movement was quite hard. So the watch didn't sell all that many pieces, but after a while it found its marketplace at a pretty lower cost. But being so limited a sale, there are very few that pop up nowadays in the used second-hand market. Now, this is the original box it came with, pretty nondescript. This is the Japanese version of the box. The international edition actually had the Marinemaster inscribed in it. Inside, no frills, just the direct drive manual in Japanese and English, and a nice little compass, also in black, that you would fit on the end of on the long end of the strap. I will put it up a little bit later. It's nice. Anyway, the watch has a sibling, the SBDD001, which was a stainless appearing watch. Those watches both, of course, are fully titanium, other than the bezel insert, which is aluminum. They have a very thick sapphire glass. Let's zoom in. They have a quite thick, flat sapphire glass. There's a kinetic reserve indicator for the direct drive mechanism. The case is a very attractive mix of three distinct types of polishing. You have on the legs very nice brushed, horizontally brushed finishing. Then you have a stripe of high polish, which goes all around the case of the watch. And then you have some very interestingly glossy polish. It's quite hard to describe it. It's very similar, I guess, in quality to the SBGE Grand Seiko Spring Drive. It is non-reflective, but you can make out the quality in this polish. And the entire watch is PVD coated and diasilt treated. And this is the source, because as stated by the serial number back here, it's a 1998 watch. You're watching this video, it's filmed in 2017, so that's been 9 years now, and the watch is pretty much impeccable, save for a tiny little scratch mark here on the aluminum bezel. The titanium surface really is, to this day, flawless. Just a couple of very minor scratches in the case back, which are hard to make out anyway. Tsunami engraved, normal screwback case. There's a very impressive crown here with the traditional Seiko logo, very nicely executed and very large. And there is a reset button right here from the integrated circuit, in case for some mysterious reason the watch stops, but there's still some power reserve inside. I haven't seen an occasion like that. I guess Seiko must have something on its mind for this. Now, this being a direct drive movement, you can actually unscrew the crown. The crown has very nice action to it. You unscrew it to the first position. Notice how thick the stem is. And then you just move it very gently, wind it. You can see the power reserve indicator moving a little bit like crazy just as you wind the watch. And then just after I stop the winding movement, you don't apply any pressure, it's very, very easily turned. Just after I'll stop this winding movement, the hour hand will do a slight jerk to indicate just how much juice you wound inside it, and then it will return to its original reserve indication. Let's see that. Right, so now it's over there, which approximately equates to a couple of hours worth of winding, what I did, and now it shows about 5 days worth of juice inside. The date indicator, it's in a rather unusual position for a Seiko, but it works well. The indexes are well applied, and this whole appearance looks quite, tactical in the sense. It's hard to describe this watch up close, but it looks business. The polish is there, the quality is there, but it does not, flash around. I guess the stainless model would be more flashy. Crown is pure joy to operate. But this whole watch looks like it's pretty mean. It's ready to go on the arm of a SEAL member or whatever. Bezel action. It's okay. Very firm bezel. The clicking is quite satisfied, everything lines up. Now, the hour hands are well executed. You can see the effect right here, that the end is totally glossy black, and you tend to miss it at first glance. That produces a very interesting effect. The hour hands, to some people, they look small. They do look small close up on macro, but I guess they had to do the main hour hand a little bit smaller so that it wouldn't obscure the power reserve indicator when the watch was, when it's around 8 to 10 p.m. or a.m. But it works well visually, mostly because of this little protrusion here. Just white and black. That's the colors you get in this watch, and I think this is quite a very nice visual effect here. Now, make no mistake, this is a large watch, and that was my main source of worry before getting it. It's a 47mm watch without the crown, from one end to the case to the other. Vertical lag to lag is a staggering 53mm, that's long. The height is no small deal, actually, it's 15.1mm in thickness, I guess you could call it. Lag size is 22mm, and it looks as if, it's a 20mm watch, but the proportions have been blown up. Weight, 110 grams on the stock rubber. It does feel hefty, this watch. It is lighter than what it would have been if it wasn't titanium. Look at the nice polish here. Very nice work. But it still has very nice wrist presence. Now this is what's obviously made to wear on rubber, and the stock rubber is pretty good. There is a pretty nice keeper down here, also made out of polished titanium. The buckle, the rubber itself, it's quite good quality. It's not the newest, very slick silicone type rubber that you can see on the latest models. It has a more rubbery feel, but it still is very comfortable. The only source of trouble for me is the length, as this is, the standard about 80mm for the short end, but the long end, it's a little bit too long for me. It's at 142mm. I much prefer an 120mm rubber, and I'm actually usually wearing this on the Solar Tuna rubber. Very comfortable rubber, and it's quite shorter. I don't like the sight of the overhanging longer rubber end around here, but it's quite thinner as a rubber than most. And yes, this watch was made to wear on rubber, to wear on a nice two-tone bond NATO, and on canvas. I'm thinking of getting a canvas strap for it sometime soon. Any suggestions are welcome, guys. Feel free to chip in for any canvas combination you think would suit this beautiful piece of watch. Now let's do, it's pretty hard to assess visually how large a watch is if you cannot compare it to a known quantity. So what we're going to do is compare this watch visually to something which is a little bit more known, and this is a Shogun. I've also put it on rubber. This is WGN rubber strap, very nice, very comfortable rubber. It was same 22mm width, but the dimensions are quite smaller. It's a 43.5mm watch, quite a little bit less thick, 12mm versus the 15mm here, and lag to lag on the Shogun is 50.5 approximately versus 53. Now basically on my wrist what I've noticed is, because I can rock the Shogun, my wrist is 18.5 centimeters in circumference but quite flat. I can also rock this one, but if you can't make a Shogun work on your wrist, then you probably won't be able to make this guy work on your wrist. And it really is a stunning watch. Let's open up the lens a little bit. Right. So, side by side, which makes the Shogun look a smaller watch. It's pretty funny. It's like having, a 40mm watch with a 44mm watch. But actually this is the 44mm watch and this is the 47mm watch. I guess Seiko had started really increasing the size of their divers at that point in time. A lot of really large divers started coming out. This is one of them. But it's very unique in the, the quality of the finishing on black PVD coated titanium. Now this is also titanium. It's also dial-sealed. You can also see the quality in the finishing, but it's a different type of finishing because mostly brushed surfaces on the Shogun with a small polished surface in front, while we mostly have polished surfaces here, but the polishing, I guess you could say it's actual polishing. It really is spectacularly made, glossy but non-reflecting, plus the high polish. You see they share a lot of design elements. Now, this one was quite more expensive than the Shogun when it came out. You can pick those up now if you manage to get a hold of one for about half the asking price back then, which makes it a pretty good deal in my book because it really is something unique. It has an air of zine type of military seriousness that this watch exudes. Plus, it's dial-sealed coated, it's PVD, you can use this watch around, but you really have to have a larger wrist to make it work, while the Shogun is much more easier to accommodate even with people with smaller wrists. The dial, you can see the likeness around here, pretty much the same elements. This one has a really deeper matte black dial, while the Shogun not so much. The Shogun will reflect back to blackness if it's under the sun. This one is already quite a bit darker. Interestingly, the indexes on the Shogun appear to be slightly larger, perhaps more filled with luminova than this one, and the Shogun really glows. This also has some pretty decent, obviously, glowing properties. You can also see the difference on the bezel. This is more finely machined. This really is aggressive here. I'd say bezel action is a little bit better on the SBDD. Bezel action on the Shogun, it's a little bit tinicky as a sound. It's not really satisfying. This is a more satisfying sound. Not very much so. I guess that's a problem with titanium watches. Pretty common. You don't really get the satisfaction of turning them and having nice feedback. But this finishing is very, very, very good. It's hard to say whether, this is better finished than this one, since it's a PVD coated material. But I'd say the SBDD is slightly better in the finishing department. You can see this glossy surface. It's very impressive. But there's a common language in design with these two. That's why I chose the Shogun. Plus, because it's relatively large. Very fine watches. So, let's do a small pause and I'll put this guy on my wrist. You can see how it looks. So here it is on the wrist. Now I don't know how Seiko really pulls this out, but their watches seem to just hug the wrist. You can see this flap here, it's pretty annoying. That's what I said about the strap being somewhat longer than I'd like. I guess it's pretty good if you're a diver, but not for anything else. Also, this keeper here, although it looks good, it's a little bit of a pain when you put a strap on. It tends to hurt the wrist a little bit until you find its proper position. Let's put it a little bit more to the outside to keep the flap at bay. Somewhat better. Like I said, it's a very impressive watch. Very unique diver by Seiko. Not something you see every day. And although it's, pure black, it really, you can put it even under shirt, white shirt. Of course, with black shirt would look fantastic. And enjoy this watch. It doesn't have a really high profile despite its height, because it hugs the wrist, while a Marinemaster 300 with a similar height looks a little bit more unwieldy. No, this one really looks the part, and it's pretty good on my wrist. You really have a feel that you're wearing a killer watch wearing that. But it will be quite hard to rock it if your wrist is, I don't know, I guess the lower limit would be around 18 centimeters in circumference. Anything larger than that and you'll be quite fine. I'm quite fine here at 18.5. Larger wrists would be even better. The strap is long. You shouldn't have a problem rocking it. And everything just looks cool, I'm inclined to dub this watch tactical. Yeah, it's cheesy, I know, but I like it. Very nice piece of gear. Right, so that's it for today. I thought I just had to film this video because there was only another one video of the SBDD003 and that was filmed quite a long time ago. Hope you liked it. Any questions are welcome. Subscribe for more videos of rare Seiko watches and anything other really that I can get my hands on. See you later.